Well, hello everybody. I'm Gary from Lantana Removal, Queensland, and I've been eradicating lantana for just on 40 years, over 30 years, just on 40 years. Anyway, nobody understands lantana like I do, how it moves across the landscape and where it needs to be eradicated from first. We are the only ones operating machinery in the sorts of terrains where lantana must be removed from. We're the only ones that can meet the government's requirements on those issues. Our phone number is 0449 986 880, and I'm Gary, and please give us a call when you need something done. And remember, you can check us out on www.lantanaremovalqueensland.com.au. Thank you very much for that. Please enjoy the film as it comes through. We're running the crusade to expose the government cover-ups and lies in relation to lantana. So,
well, good morning, everybody.
Please enjoy the film
This is
from here.
a
Thank you.
job that
Bye.
we went out to quote. See the poisoning here and how dead everything looks? This is why I'm not a fan of poisoning. And a lot of the stuff, the green stuff down the bottom there, right on the watercourse, that's how close they came to poisoning in the watercourse. Some of it they poisoned. But the weeds that have come back after this poisoning, the actual landowner is very concerned about the amount of weeds that they now have after this situation. Now, a lot of this area is very steep country. It's out near Dundas. Now, I've got to apologise because with this filming, it's just terrible filming. I've filmed out of the car window with the mobile phone. This is just a bush track, this track. So that's what the lantana look like. You know, you can see the way that the things around the trees have suffered as well. But some of the country too is very, very difficult. So I'm not having a go. Look at the greenery along the sides of the roads. This is all council lantana down into the creek. So this gentleman, he borders the waterboard on two sides and the state forest or the national park on the other side. So he has lantana pouring into his property the same as all these other people. I'm just showing up that tree there, how that tree's completely turned into a candlestick with vine and lantana all over it. This is just like this for the next 3-5 k's around that, and it just is unbelievable to look at. You know, the councils are actually acting illegally. They cannot leave this material in place. They cannot not do anything about it. But they are allowed to lie to you. They are allowed to try to make out that they're not covered by the same laws that you are. It's a government thing, and the state government allow them to do it. This has been brought up to Anastasia Palaszczuk many times, and Mr Turnbulls, because they both say they've spent so much money creating the weeds of national significance and then 20 years ago the council stopped doing any of this work, and from that point on this is what we live with. Look at the lantana as far back as you can see. This goes for 20 kilometres, this lantana, up over the mountain range that is where we're looking. If you kept just going back from the camera, you'd go up over a couple of mountain ranges and down onto that other road where I filmed at Dundas at the bottom of Mount Glorious. And this is a continual infestation from here to there and back over the other side of the road. Oh, sorry about that. I don't even film back that direction, but it's the same on the other side of the road going south. And that goes all the way back to Fernvale, which we all know is just a nightmare all the way back into Ipswich. So the councils are actually responsible. This is the Somerset-esque council, and they tell everybody that they do nothing, will do nothing. It's not even noxious anymore. Now we're on to waterboard land. You'll watch how this lantana is covering this fence. This is the footpath. So completely to the fence, it's a complete blanket of lantana continuously. And I do apologise about how poor the film quality is, but you have to see this to believe the scale of this. Look at how green the lantana is in there. That's in waterboard country. And they cut a road in behind this lantana on the fence line, okay? They do that to say that they meet their requirements, but the council leaves the lantana growing on the footpath, and the water board leaves thousands of hectares of lantana on the other side of that fence, growing with just a single dozer cut around the edges and a couple of cuts across. There's no work carried out to decrease the mass of the material. You know, they'll probably do the same thing as what the national parks do, and just burn the whole lot and kill all the animals in those areas as they backburn to the main fire, which is what happens. The national parks and wildlife, all of these government departments need to be taken to task by the public. You look up under this material and nothing's been going through there. All this land is just completely cut off to wildlife. And that's what greenies and people all over the place don't really understand, is that the government, look, there's the cuts that I'm talking about, the road running inside this fence line, and then it's just a sea of lantana continuously and complete. There's no grass, no anything else in amongst those trees. Nothing gets to those trees. That's the other side of the road. That's what that just continues to the south endlessly. So yeah, back to that side of the road on the waterboard side there, and I think the waterboard might be on the other side too. I'm not 100% sure there. Sorry about the coughing. So this is the councils on the fence line and on this side of the fence, and that's the waterboard on the other side of the fence. And this is the same on the other side of the mountain range at Dundas, where I filmed that drone footage. You just look at it; it just goes endlessly and all the way up the mountain ranges there. Now, how does this material get stopped if these guys don't start being held accountable? But this is fantastic grazing land. This land, when it didn't have this lantana on, had a huge amount of cattle and grazing lands. Look at it climbing the trees there. That's one of the things that people don't ever get to see, is that lantana is bad enough on its own, but we're seeing super infestations, and super infestations hang out with cockspur, cat's claw, and and a couple of other vine creepers. Look at it just there with the road cut behind it, just one dozer blade wide. But they cause super infestations where they start climbing the trees, and they pull the smaller trees over. The sheer weight of the vines drops the smaller trees, and it drops them down to, say, 20 feet. When it gets them down to that, it gives them an extra leg up in volume as well, and then they go after the big trees and they just destroy the big trees. We're seeing that these super infestations climbing 60 feet in trees, no problems at all. They are changing the ecology, our ecology of our lands completely. And that's the thing that the government doesn't want you to see. They don't want you to see this footage here. This has been going on forever. And the footage over the other side of the mountain range. And then that footage continues up into the Diagula National Park. And it just continues through those ranges continually after that. So, when you look at these things here, the cattle people are leasing land off waterboard. Look at it down through there. As far as you can see, that's what that landscape looks like. This was once great grassland in amongst these trees, and this is what the waterboard looks like. And the waterboard and national parks are buying more and more land, and nobody is working out that this is what they're turning it into. So once it's like this, it's completely useless for pretty much anything else. If they put cattle in this, which they're starting to do because of my filming, the cattle are expendable. The cattle will die, they don't care, it's not a problem. And they'll try and trample something, but they don't do any real effective work with it. It's not effective to fix those things. And where they use these poisons, you have a look at the real landscape underneath them. It just creates a desert. Now, admittedly, you can argue that nothing went into that lantana anyway. So what did we lose by poisoning off and damaging our ecology even worse? Well, you know what? I'm just totally against writing off the ecologies there. But this film footage here, I did this so poorly like this because I had no other tools. If you hop out and you fly a drone over it, the drone is can't fly enough flight time to give any sort of idea of the sheer magnitude of this material. And this is our country. This is what our government's doing to us. This is illegal for the water board to be doing this. Yet they've been doing this for 30 years. Same as the councils. I've just contacted the Main Roads Department, and the Main Roads Department is aware that they farm off the work to the councils. And then you say, yeah, but the councils don't do the work. Oh, yeah, we know that. Well, you also know it's illegal, don't you, for this material not to be controlled and to be eradicated. Yes, we know that. Now, you want to try and get onto the people who actually handle that. I'm still waiting for the call back, because you can imagine how that conversation... See how they poisoned off all this stuff, and nothing's come back. You know, it's just the devastation to the ecology on top of that is just so bad. But the material still has to be removed, but the weeds will come back underneath the material. So they didn't effectively achieve anything. Whereas when we go through and we remove it, it's gone and the ecology's not damaged, and then it can just take back over the natural ecosystems, and there's no real long-term effects. So we need to change their minds about things, but this is just horrendous how far this extends north. It extends thousands of kilometres through the mountain ranges. All of the state forests look like this, all of the national parks look like this, and yet none of them talk about it. But the national parks just walk in and drop a match and burn out millions of hectares, and then backburn to the main fire, and every single animal within that area dies. Whatever is in there is dead. And you never hear about that. You think they're taking care of business, and this is what our business looks like. You know, it does not matter how we do this. That's why the council won't do the work, is because they don't have workers that will do this type of work. So why does the state and federal government say that the councils are the ones to do this work? All that will happen is they come along with 10 people and stand there and watch me work with $2 million worth of equipment and put their bill on top of mine. So their bill ends up costing 10 times what the actual cost of removing this material is. We need to start saying no to the councils. Look at them down through there. It's all down through there, and that's leased land. And now they're trying to bring cattle in to, smash some of it over. But the scale of this, the only way forward is to remove the material and deal with it. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'm sorry the video is so poor, but it makes the point of what we actually saw and what we're actually looking for. Anyway, Gary from Lantana Removal, Queensland, thank you for popping in. Bye-bye.